Welcome, everyone. The topic of our hearing today is D.C. Metro. Is there a safety gap? With that question, we will address the matter of the recent unfortunate death and incident we had in the D.C. Metro, and welcome our witnesses this morning. We'll introduce you shortly. The order of business will be first, I'll start with an opening statement, then we'll go to the acting ranking member, and I understand Ms. Duckworth is to be back with us soon, and proud mother of a new baby girl. And then we'll go to Mr. Meadows, who chairs the Government Operations Subcommittee, and then Mr. DeSaldinaire, who will recognize for his statement, and other members. So with that, without objection, the chair is authorized to declare a recess at any time. I also would ask unanimous consent that our colleagues from the 8th and 10th Districts of Virginia, Mr. Don Beer and Ms. Congresswoman Barbara Comstock, be allowed to fully participate in today's hearing without objection so ordered. And with that, let me start with my opening statement, and then we'll proceed. So again, I thank you for coming. This is an important hearing, and both of the subcommittees have jurisdiction. I'm fortunate to chair a new Transportation Oversight Subcommittee, and working with Mr. Meadows and Mr. Conley and others. So this is a day that we find ourselves about 1 month ago yesterday when a Washington native, Carol Glover, tragically lost her life as she and hundreds of other passengers on a yellow line train, metro train, were stuck for over an hour in a smoke-filled tunnel. And that was just 100 yards away from the L'Enfant Metro Plaza station. More than 80 people were hospitalized in that instance. Now, we do have pretty broad authority, but specifically, Congress does have a unique relationship with the District of Columbia, and this committee specifically has a unique responsibility to the District of Columbia as far as oversight and responsibility to really monitor incidents like this in a transit system within that serves not only the region but also our nation's capital, and receives a very significant amount of federal dollars. The investigation into this incident is still underway, but any loss of life and an incident like this certainly deserves our attention and our review, particularly at this point, especially considering some of the alarming facts that have come to light in just the last 30 days since the incident. There are some things that we know and some things we're learning. I brought this paper, headline of yesterday's paper, NTSB, Metro fans set wrong. That was kind of startling for all of us to learn yesterday. We know, and we've heard, the district has reviewed some of this incident also, but we know that there were some very serious communication issues between Metro and first responders. We also know that radios used by D.C. fire and emergency service workers only worked sporadically, and that firefighters had to use an alternative method of communication, such as runners and personal cell phones. We also know that it took over an hour to evacuate all of the passengers off the train. And we know, of course, I think everyone who's looked at this to date has said that the response could and should have been much better. Today's hearing's not just about the January 12th incident, but rather how our regional transportation system responsible, and that agency, and numerous agency and area responders can do a better job, be prepared to do a better job, and how to react better in emergencies. It's been nearly 14 years since the terrorist attack of September 11th. Since then, the National Capital Region alone has received over $1 billion in federal taxpayer money and FEMA preparedness grant programs. In fact, the authority here has received over $200 million in Homeland Security grants. These are significant amounts of money to try to make us prepared. That was it was a loss of life, but it was a small incident, and what we might have is this area again being a target of a terrorist act and face a much more horrific incident. Yet firefighters were unable to get timely and accurate information about the emergency, and were unable to use their life-saving communications equipment in the tunnel and also in the station. Metro provides rescue training for regional first responders, and yet at the D.C. City Council hearing last week, we learned that only 100 D.C. firefighters attended this training session last year. Something's wrong when you have those numbers. According to D.C. Fire, requests were made to Metro to cease all Metro rail traffic in and around L'Enfant Station so that the first responders had assurances they were safe from any train traffic. NTSB is investigating some of these allegations, and also that this request initially fell on deaf ears. Had an opportunity yesterday to go down, we'll hear from NTSB representative, and visit NTSB. If you haven't done that, members, I highly recommend it. Only took about an hour, but you'll see some of the incredible work. We actually looked at some of the equipment and some of the damaged rail items that were taken from that site that they are now inspecting, but the NTSB does a great job, and again, I encourage members to go down and see firsthand what they're doing. D.C. Metro is, in fact, one of the most important transit systems in the country. It serves our nation's capital. It not only serves millions of federal employees and daily commuters, but it also helps our people from around the United States. Some of them are our constituents. People from around the world come to this, our capital city, and they should have a safe, reliable system. In fact, I checked this morning, and what are the figures here? We've had about 750,000 people a day use the Metro system. Over 200 million people a year use the Metro system. It's one of the most active in the nation and any metropolitan area. And that anyone who rides Metro should know it's safe and secure, and it's our responsibility to follow up on that. Well, we're all pleased about the urgent recommendations and steps that NTSB has already made, and some of the steps the city has taken to deal with the issues and problems that have been brought to light. There appears to be some common sense solutions to all of these problems, and also just the way we deal with Metro. This morning I keep in my desk drawer some of my Metro cards, This is the one from New York City. I just pulled these out this morning. This is the one from here in the district. Okay. The back of the DC Metro card says no more first, and it talks a little bit. Now, this is fine print. I can barely read it, and I have some pretty good eyesight for my age.
Can I help you, Mr.
No, I'm telling you, I can read it. It talks about you must produce this card for the police. It talks about a consumer hotline, I guess you can call. This is the DC card. Again, I just pulled these out of my drawer today. Here's the New York Metro card in huge bold letters, subway emergency instructions, and then it tells you a little bit. But I spoke to common sense, and I guess emergency information on something like that is something we could even look at. So again, I think this is a hearing to find out what went wrong and what we can do to make things right. Finally, as far as our committee and the Transportation Committee, I recall that we had done something in the MAP 21 bill, and following, and this is in a report we're releasing today, following the 2009 Fort Totten collision, NTSB called for enhanced statutory authority to get the authority for from FTA because the agency was barred from performing adequate safety oversight on Washington Metro. With the enactment of MAP 21, our transportation bill, on July 6, 2012, FTA was granted authority, that's 3 years ago. They were granted authority to oversee the safety of public transportation throughout the United States and also in Metro. So far, FTA has not made any rules, not a single rule, to increase safety of public transportation. However, last week, FTA announced that it will audit Washington Metro safety procedures. So some things have been done to try to address this by Congress. Agencies were given authority to act, and they did not act. So that's a concern, and we'll address that. So again, I hope this hearing can make an incident like this, again, a very sad memory, but something we can do better and learn from. Again, I appreciate you all participating. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses.